Ever buy a house and think, wow, this place has great vibes?
Uh-huh.
Well, today's deep dive is not that.
Oh, no.
Not even close. We're diving headfirst into the unsettling world of haunted houses.
Ooh, spooky.
With the story of Tasha Dazz, a young influencer who stumbles into a paranormal nightmare in Laredo, Texas.
All right, I'm intrigued. What's the source material for this deep dive?
Our primary source is a chilling YouTube video where Tasha spills the tea on her experience.
Oh, straight from the source. I like it.
Buckle up as we sift through the spooky details and see what we can learn. Are you ready to get creeped out?
You know me, always up for a good ghost story. But while paranormal phenomena can be fascinating, the real meat of these stories often lies in understanding the human element.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Our psychological responses, cultural beliefs, and how we interpret the unexplained,
It's like the X-File, the truth is out there. But first, the story, right? So Tasha's looking for a fresh start, New city, new her.
Right. A clean slate.
Exactly. She finds this incredible property in Laredo, pictures herself sipping lemonade on the porch, the whole dream.
Sounds idyllic.
But there's a catch.
Uh-oh, there's always a catch.
The price is suspiciously low.
Talk about a red flag.
Yeah.
It's almost like that discounted price set the stage for a certain level of unease, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And Tasha finds out why pretty quickly. During renovations, she unearths ritualistic items hidden under the basement floor. Candles, symbols, you name it.
No way.
Suddenly, that charming fixer-upper takes a dark turn.
That's a chilling discovery, to say the least. It's interesting how such findings, particularly those with potential religious or ritualistic implications, tap into our deepest fears and anxieties about the unknown.
Seriously. And, get this, she contacts the real estate agent hoping for some answers about the previous owners, the Garcias.
Makes sense, trying to get some background information.
Right, but the agent's response, not exactly helpful.
Oh no, what did they say?
They basically shrugged it off. Oh, the Garcias were into some kind of religion, probably just some old candles. You're not superstitious, are you?
Wow, really?
Can you believe that?
It's remarkable how often people, even those in positions of authority or knowledge, would rather dismiss the unusual than confront its potential implications.
Right.
Perhaps it's a way of protecting themselves from the unknown. Or maybe it's simply easier to maintain the status quo.
I mean, finding ritualistic paraphernalia buried in your basement would make even the biggest skeptic a little bit nervous, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. It's a natural human response to seek explanations for the things that unsettle us.
Totally.
And in the absence of clear answers, our minds tend to fill in the blanks, often drawing upon cultural narratives, personal beliefs, or even our own imaginations.
And that's exactly what starts happening to Tasha. She hears from neighbors that the Garcias practice Santería.
Santería, adding another layer of intrigue to the mix.
Right. But soon, those initial weird vibes escalate into full-blown creepy occurrences.
Like what?
Oh, just the classic haunted house starter pack, unexplained noises at night, disembodied voices, doors slamming on their own, the works.
Okay, now that's just creepy.
Oh, and did I mention Tasha's dog starts acting completely freaked out? We're talking hiding, whimpering, like it's sensing something unseen.
It's interesting you mentioned the dog, because animals reacting strangely is a common theme in these kinds of stories.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Now, while we can't rule out animals having heightened senses for things we might miss, it's also worth considering how our own anxieties and fears can influence how we perceive their behavior.
That's a good point. We tend to see what we're looking for, right?
Exactly.
But still, it's one thing to hear spooky sounds. It's another thing entirely to capture them on camera.
Ooh, you're kidding. She got evidence.
Oh, yeah. And that's exactly what happens next.
No way.
Tasha manages to get some seriously creepy footage. Shadowy figures, objects moving on their own. This isn't just hearsay. It's documented.
Okay, visual evidence always adds a layer of complexity to these cases, for sure. But it's also important to remember that our senses, even when aided by technology, can be tricked. Light, shadows, camera angles, these can all create illusions that our brains, wired to seek patterns and explanations, can misinterpret.
So you're saying don't believe everything you see?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, what's one of the creepiest videos Tasha catches? You mentioned shadowy figures and objects moving.
There are two that really stand out. The first is from her kitchen, which, according to the video, was a hub of activity for the Garcias. Not only was this allegedly where they practiced their rituals, but it's also where the grandmother passed away.
Oh, wow.
The footage from the kitchen is eerie. It shows this object just sitting on the counter and then seemingly moving on its own as if being nudged.
Now, that's unsettling. Makes you wonder, If these alleged rituals did take place in that very spot, could they have left some kind of residual energy?
Mhm.
Or is it simply our human tendency to find connections, to attribute meaning where there might be none?
It's giving chills down your spine vibes for sure. But then there's the doorbell camera footage, and that one, well, let's just say it's the kind of stuff that makes you sleep with the lights on.
Okay, you've got me hooked. Do tell. What does it show?
Picture this. It's nighttime, the porch is dimly lit. All of a sudden, the shadowy figure, almost like a fleeting shadow, darts past the camera.
Oh.
It's gone in a flash, but it's definitely there.
A fleeting figure in the night. Now that's a classic haunted house trope.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how our brains, especially in low-light conditions, can transform even the most mundane shapes into something sinister.
Right. You can't help but wonder, what is it about the dark that amplifies our fears and makes us more susceptible to seeing things?
It's primal, isn't it? Darkness obscures our vision, limits our sense of control, and taps into a deep-seated fear of the unknown. It's no wonder that so many paranormal encounters are associated with the night.
That makes a lot of sense. But even with a logical explanation, you have to admit, seeing that footage would still give you pause, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least a little bit curious, a little bit spooked.
So we've got Tasha living in this house with a seriously spooky past, witnessing creepy occurrences and capturing some of it on camera.
It's easy to say we'd pack up and leave,
Oh, totally.
but the reality is these situations are often far more complex.
Right.
Tasha's dealing with renovations, potential financial strain, and let's not forget the emotional toll of feeling like you're living in a horror movie.
No kidding. She's invested time, money, and probably a lot of herself into making this house a home.
Exactly.
To just walk away would be tough.
It would be.
So what does Tasha do? She decides to call in some reinforcements.
Oh, who does she call? Ghostbusters.
Not quite. First up, a medium.
Getting into spooky territory now. It's fascinating how often people, when faced with this seemingly inexplicable turn to those who claim to communicate with the spirit world.
It's like they're looking for answers.
Right. It speaks to our deep-seated need for answers, for reassurance, or perhaps even just a sense of control in the face of chaos.
Totally. And the medium doesn't disappoint in the making things even creepier department.
Oh.
She immediately picks up on multiple energies connected to the house and the land.
Multiple energies, as in ghosts.
That's what it seems like. But it's not just any old spirits hanging around.
Oh, no.
According to the medium, these energies are trapped, unable to move on.
The idea of trapped or residual energy is a common theme in paranormal lore.
Right.
It suggests that past events, particularly those involving strong emotions, can leave an imprint on a place, almost like an echo of what once was.
Okay, now that's giving me goosebumps.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
It is. The house itself isn't just haunted. It's like a container for these lingering energies.
And it taps into a primal fear, the idea that something of ourselves might outlive our physical bodies and remain tethered to a particular location.
So we're talking about more than just a spooky presence, but potentially echoes of past events, emotions, maybe even fragments of the people themselves. That's heavy stuff.
It is.
So we've got Tasha living in this house, dealing with these increasingly creepy occurrences, and now she's got a medium telling her there are trapped energies.
Yeah, this is a lot to process.
Right. So what's her next move? She brings in the big guns, a team of paranormal investigators.
The paranormal investigators. I'm always interested in the methods and equipment they employ.
Right.
Was this a casual group, or are we talking about a professional team?
This wasn't just some friends with a camcorder and a Ouija board.
Okay, good to know.
This was a full-on team decked out with all the high-tech gear you can imagine. EMF readers, EVP reporters, even a thermal camera. Remember that shadowy figure on the doorbell cam?
Yeah.
Yeah, they caught that with the thermal camera.
Oh, wow. Sophisticated equipment indeed.
I know, right?
But as with any tool, it's all about interpretation. Just because you detect an electromagnetic field fluctuation, for example, doesn't automatically equate to a ghostly presence.
Good point.
Correlation doesn't equal causation, as they say.
But here's the thing. These investigators, they went into Tasha's house pretty skeptical.
They didn't believe.
They'd been doing this for a while.
Right.
Thought they'd seen it all.
So what happened?
But after just one night, their tune changed completely.
Oh, that's quite a shift.
I know, right?
What happened during that one night to cause such a drastic change in their perspective?
They captured something on audio.
Oh.
Remember those disembodied voices Tasha mentioned hearing?
Yeah.
Well, they managed to record one.
Whoa, really?
And it's not just any old whisper. It's chilling, even for these seasoned ghost hunters.
What did the voice say? You've got me on the edge of my seat here.
In this faint, whispery voice, it seems to ask, "Are you upset that they're changing your house?"
A disembodied voice seemingly questioning the renovations. That is eerie, I have to admit.
Right.
But of course, with EVP recordings, it's always wise to be cautious.
Oh, definitely.
Audio can be easily manipulated, misinterpreted, even influenced by our own expectations.
That's true. You have to consider all the angles.
Right.
But even with that in mind, this audio was enough to make these experienced investigators pack up their gear and peace out.
They left.
They said they'd never encountered anything like it before and needed to step back for their own well-being.
Wow.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Seriously.
Even seasoned investigators, those who dedicate their lives to exploring these phenomena, have their limits. To have an experience so profoundly unsettling that they feel the need to withdraw is significant. It really makes you wonder what they experienced.
It's like they went in looking for answers and stumbled upon something that shook them to their core.
Exactly. And it underscores the fact that even when we approach these phenomena with skepticism, with a critical eye, there's always the potential for the unexpected, for something that defies easy explanation.
And that brings us to the most baffling part of this whole story, the unresolved ending.
Unresolved. You can't leave us hanging like that. What ultimately became of Tasha and this haunting?
Well, after that experience with the investigators, things go quiet, like really quiet. Tasha drops off the grid, no more posts, no updates. It's like she vanished.
A digital disappearing act? That's not uncommon in these situations.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, was it fear that drove her offline? Or maybe the overwhelming feeling of not being believed?
Right. It's like the internet loves a good ghost story, but what happens when things get too real? But then just when the online world is buzzing with theories, Tasha resurfaces with this cryptic message. Just a few words, but they're heavy. "I'm not okay and I don't want to talk about it."
Chilling. Those few words speak volumes, don't they?
Well-
It suggests a level of distress that goes beyond just being creeped out. It's like whatever happened in that house, it left a mark.
It's like she's sending up a flare, but not for rescue. More like a warning. And just like that, she's gone again. No explanations, no updates, no closure. It's like that final scene in a horror movie, leaving you with more questions than answers.
It's that unresolved ending that really sticks with us, isn't it? It plays on our need for resolution, for a sense of order in a world that can often feel chaotic and unpredictable.
Totally. We're left to piece together the fragments of information to draw our own conclusions. Did Tasha ever escape the haunting? Did she find a way to coexist with it? Or is she still trapped in that house, forever bound to the restless energies within its walls?
And that's the thing about these stories, isn't it? They tap into something primal, a fear of the unknown, of what lies beyond our understanding. They remind us that for all our advancements, there are still mysteries in this world that defy easy explanation.
Okay, but before we wrap up this creepy deep dive, there's one final detail we have to address. Remember how the Garcias practiced Santería, holding those rituals in the house?
Yes, the rituals that left their mark both literally and figuratively on the property.
Exactly. Well, after the investigators bail, some of Tasha's followers, concerned about her well-being, decide to hold a prayer meeting outside her house. They're hoping for a miracle, some kind of positive intervention.
A gathering of faith in the face of fear, the testament to the human spirit's resilience.
Totally. So they're outside praying for Tasha, and someone snaps a photo of the sky. And in this photo, there's this thing. It's difficult to describe, almost like a weird, smoky cloud formation, but it seems to resemble a symbol.
A symbol. That's intriguing. What kind of symbol are we talking about?
That's the thing, nobody can agree. Some people see a cross, others see some kind of ancient glyph, and some even claim it's an inverted cross, like a mockery of the prayer meeting itself.
A Rorschach test in the clouds, open to interpretation, fueled by individual beliefs, and let's be honest, a healthy dose of fear.
Right. It's the perfect final note to Tasha's story, ambiguous, unsettling, and impossible to ignore.
It certainly leaves us with a lot to ponder. What do we make of these seemingly inexplicable events? Are they evidence of the supernatural or simply the result of human psychology, cultural beliefs, and the power of suggestion?
Big questions, no easy answers. But that's the beauty of a good deep dive, isn't it? It's about exploring the unknown, grappling with the unexplained, and embracing the mysteries that continue to captivate and haunt our imaginations. So what do you think? Haunted house? Elaborate hoax? Or something else entirely? We've laid out the evidence, the interpretations, the lingering questions. Now it's your turn to decide. And hey, if you've got your own creepy encounter, a story that defies explanation, share it with us. You know where to find us. Until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, sometimes the most intriguing mysteries are the ones we never fully solve.